Good morning. Welcome. Today is Sunday, April 12th. How's it going? My name is Angela. I'm a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. Welcome to my humble little channel. Just a reminder, this is a vanilla channel, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It's not commentary on frameworks and libraries. This came up here in the last couple of days, probably because we've attracted some new subscribers. So if you're one of the new subscribers, welcome. Happy to have you. This is a vanilla channel, and it's not that I don't think frameworks and libraries are important. It's just that I think vanilla is also important, and I'm just here to promote that. I had a comment yesterday, and I think this person was just genuinely confused at why I was writing vanilla CSS and I had one big CSS file. I am in no way suggesting that on an enterprise level website you should do vanilla CSS. Of course, you can if you want to. I probably would. I'm perfectly comfortable with it. It doesn't bother me in the least. I kind of like it. I think this person, though, felt really uncomfortable, felt like they would be very uncomfortable working with that type of a file. And yeah, if you're new and you don't have a lot of experience, I can understand why that would make you uncomfortable. Really, though, we're just here to promote vanilla. Frameworks, libraries, I get it. They're incredibly popular, very important. It would probably be difficult for you to get a job not knowing those things. But don't forget that vanilla is also important. And I'm just here to promote that because not everything you work on is going to be a brand new shiny app. You're going to work on a lot of legacy code. That's just how it goes. Trust me, I've been there. I've got 13 years of experience. I'm a freelancer, a consultant. I've worked on large scale enterprise level websites and web apps. I've also done a lot of agency work and a lot of consulting. I know what's out there. So I speak from experience when I tell you these are my experiences. So that's it. That's all. I just want to throw that out there, especially if you're new and you're like, why is everything vanilla? Why isn't she using Sass? Why isn't she using Tailwind? Why isn't she at least using Sass and breaking the CSS file up into partials? It's because I made a choice on this channel to not use frameworks, libraries, compilers, package managers, Node. It's easier. It's just easier, and you don't actually need it. That's the other thing, is I want to show people you can still build cool stuff and you don't need those things. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm also going to do something a little bit different today with the chat. I normally put chat up on the screen. I'm not going to do that anymore, at least for the foreseeable future. I love the chat. The chat is important for the channel. I love the conversations that I have with the chat, but also this is a practice project and I want to put a little more emphasis for the rest of April on the projects. Speaking of which, let's not forget, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I have a runny nose. I just can't help it. Allergies. There we go. I refuse to blow my nose on camera, on stream. I won't do it. Just a reminder, this is the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, and today is day 12. And I'm super excited about it. I love it. My mind is blown by what I've learned just in the last 12 days, how much more comfortable I've gotten with things. So if you're thinking to yourself, how do I get better at something? You got to practice. That's how you get better at something. So there's that. Literally, that's the answer. And I get asked that question in different, I get asked the same question so many different ways. What's the fastest way to learn a programming language? What's the fastest way to get good at front-end development? What's the fastest way to learn JavaScript? The answer is going to be the same for every single thing. Practice. So, day 12. Do me a favor. If you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like the video? I would appreciate it so much. Subscribe if you're not already. The channel's growing and I'm pretty excited about that. It helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of thing. And yeah, it just helps the channel continue to grow. So here we are, day 12. Oh, and I should at least say hi to the chat, shouldn't I? Gogo Elmo is here. Welcome. Malik Robinson is Gogo Elmo. He is a mod in the chat. So is Emilio. Welcome, Emilio. Emilio told us a crazy story a few weeks ago. My internet was out for about 5 days. His internet was out for a week because he had a neighbor or somebody who lived on his street who was mad and was having a dispute over his bill, a $20 dispute over his bill. So he went outside and destroyed the internet, the infrastructure for the whole neighborhood, and it took 3 weeks to get him back online. That is just an absolutely wild story. And I thought that I was losing my mind not having internet for 5 days. Emilio's got us all beat. Yeah, thank you, Emilio. Emilio says, heck yeah, you do you. Um, oh, nice. Nano Akio is here. He says, if your nose keeps running, trip it up. Yeah, I have like chronic allergies, chronic runny nose. I should probably go see an ENT is what I should do. And Nano XD, love a dad joke. Oh, I don't know what that means. Nano XD, love a dad joke. They're talking amongst themselves. So that's how the chat should be, right? That's the thing is that I wasn't prepared for with streaming or going live is it didn't even occur to me. Like, I know chat is a thing. I watch a lot of streaming, but different streamers talk to the chat differently. There is one streamer that I watch. She's an attorney. Her name is Andrea Burkhart, and I love her. She will do an entire 2 or 3 hour live stream and not even acknowledge the chat until the end of whatever it is she's talking about, which is wild to me. And then there are other people who like pay a lot of attention to the chat, and I'm just trying to like find that balance, especially since I, number one, genuinely love talking to the chat, but also number two, need to make sure that I am focusing on the project and doing the work. So, bear with me if you're here and hanging out in the chat. Just please know that I appreciate you so much for being here and supporting the channel, and I'm just trying to figure it out, right? So XD equals laughing out loud face, our life before emojis. I'm Gen X. I have to have everything explained to me. So thank you, Emilio, for that. Okay. So today is day 12 of the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript, and this is a GDPR cookie consent banner. First of all, what does GDPR even mean? I am always forgetting. General Data Protection Regulation. So it is specific to the EU, our friends on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. The General Data Protection Regulation is a comprehensive EU law effective from May 25th, 2018. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So I had to implement a GDPR banner on a project a couple of years ago. And that was because Google at the time said, hey, if you are using, I think it was specific to Google Ads. They were like, if you're using Google Ads for your web properties as part of any Google Ads, you need to have a GDPR compliance banner up. You need to tell people how you're tracking them or the ways that you're tracking them. And, the average user, when they come to our site, like we can probably get their IP address, but I don't actually know your name. Just because you come click on my site doesn't mean I know your name or I know where you live or I know even necessarily what country you live in. So we had all these conversations internally about, well, what does that even mean? Like, what data are we actually collecting about people who come and visit our properties? And a lot of it also has to do with the fact that the landing pages that were being used in ad campaigns, we are collecting data. There are forms. We're getting names and email addresses and things like that. Okay, so the consensus was that we only want to show this banner, this consent banner, in places in the world where it is legally required. So the EU, right? So we were able via Cloudflare? Cloudflare versus, what's the Amazon one? There's Cloudflare and there's CloudFront. I always forget it. So the Amazon version of Cloudflare is CloudFront. And we were able to add a response header to roughly half of our web properties that showed what country our visitors were in. So if you came to a website and you were living in Belgium, it would say Belgium, that's the EU, and we were able to show you specifically because you lived in the EU or you lived in a country that we designated as being part of the GDPR, we would show you that banner. I think you can add response headers in Cloudflare as well. The problem is that roughly half of our apps weren't on CloudFront, and we weren't able to add that response header. So we had a fallback for time zones using JavaScript, like the JavaScript Date International. I don't know what the method is off the top of my head, but we had a fallback basically for time zones. So that's how we did it. We showed you the banner. We gave you the option to consent or deny based on your location. Okay, so that's just like the backstory, the context for this. So when I was preparing this for today, I was sort of reviewing how I had structured that 2 years ago. And I was looking it over and I was like, okay, well, I don't have a response header. I don't use Cloudflare. I just don't. Cloudflare. Obviously, I don't use CloudFront because I'm not on AWS, but I also don't use Cloudflare. And so I was like, okay, should I do this time zone thing? And I was kind of chatting with ChatGPT about it, and ChatGPT is like, yeah, that's a decent fallback if you don't have a response header, but it wouldn't necessarily meet legal compliance. It could be wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about it for a day, and I was like, I see consent banners, cookie policy consent banners on roughly half the websites I go to, maybe more, and I live in the United States. What that says to me is, and I think also it's going to be required in the United States probably sooner rather than later anyways. So I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to try to detect location. Like, let's just scrap that. Let's remove that layer of complexity and let's just build a consent banner that we show everybody. Everybody gets to either consent or not consent to having their data tracked. And I think that that's honestly the better approach. So that's what we're going to go with today. And quite frankly, it simplifies everything about this project. It makes it so much easier. So let's sort of review here what we need to do. And I am still calling it GDPR cookie consent banner. I'm leaving GDPR in because it's keyword rich and I want people to click on this video. So let me just be transparent with you about why I'm leaving that in, even though I'm not detecting location, okay? Build a GDPR cookie consent banner that appears on page load when no consent cookie exists. It lets the user choose allow or reject. It stores that choice for 7 days and hides the banner on future visits while the cookie is still present. JavaScript focus, checking for a cookie on page load, conditionally showing or hiding the banner, handling click events for allow or reject, creating a cookie with an expiration, storing 2 clear consent states, reading the stored cookie value later, removing or hiding the banner after a choice is made. Okay, by the way, I can handle all that. Nice extras. Create the banner with JavaScript instead of hard coding it in every page. We're definitely going to do that. Include a short privacy message and privacy policy link. We're going to go ahead and create a page. So today is going to be an equal blend of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are not going to spend all day writing JavaScript. This project doesn't require this. This is going to be a comprehensive, what does your site need to have? How does this need to look? This is how I would actually build this if I was tasked to do this. I'm going to show you exactly what my approach is going to be. Use a consistent cookie name and clear values. Here's the thing about cookie name. I also am a bit lazy when it comes to analytics. I do have Google Analytics on some of the things that I do, like my client sites. I don't even think I have it on my personal site. My knees get weak every time I think about analytics. I know I should pay more attention to that. I don't care. I've never cared. You can't convince me to care about analytics. I want to be found in search. That's it. I don't give a shit how many people actually come and look at my site. I just don't care about that data. I don't run ads. I don't care. You will never convince me to care. Period. However, if you're doing this for an organization or a client that cares deeply about their analytics, then you would most likely partner with an analyst. If you're not doing it yourself, maybe you are, I don't know. You would most likely partner with somebody who is working on the SEO or analytics side of things, and you would have to agree on the name of your cookie, and then you would pass that data up maybe through a Google Tag Manager script or any number of analytics tools out there. Your analytics tool needs a way to read that choice and store it on their end for compliance. So that's the part that we are not going to do, because once again, I am not an analytics specialist or SEO specialist. But I do know from working on this project a couple of years ago, you have to agree on the name of the cookie. That has to be tied somehow, like I said, to a GTM container or whatever analytics tool you're using, and then you would pass that choice up. So that's the part that we are not going to do, but we don't need to do that to do this part. We are going to add a body class while the banner is visible for styling and layout. Yeah, we're going to do that. Make a banner reusable across the whole site. Yes. Add a small transition when the banner hides. Maybe, I don't know. Again, I don't care. Maybe, we'll see. Include a future hook for analytics tools to read the consent value later. That's interesting. We'll see if we get to that. Include a future hook for analytics tools to read the consent value later. Maybe. So we're going to be doing document.cookie date to UTC string append and remove. And I'll be also honest with you that I will be looking at and I haven't even pulled it up yet. Gosh darn it, Angela. So let me pull it up now. Where are you? Where did I put you? Really, Angela? I was just looking at this. Where did I put this? You're here somewhere. No. Yes, here it is. Okay. I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to show it to you because it's messy. It's a couple years old. But I'm going to be referencing my old code. And we're going to be going from there because I do not like reinventing the wheel. So, but we are actually going to start with the banner. So we are going to start with the HTML and the CSS first. We have to decide where this thing is going to live. We have to get it styled. And then after that, we're going to recreate the banner with JavaScript. It's going to go into the global script.js, so it goes on every single page. And once we write our JavaScript, it will appear on every page. But I am going to determine the markup and the styling first before we actually get to that. So, and Vanilla JS says data protection on the internet, such a lie. Yeah, I could see why you would say that. Hello, Himan is here. Hello. Gogo Elmo, this will be a chat-less stream today. She is finding her balance. Okay, I'm going to thank you. Thank you, Gogo Elmo. Thank you. Clayton, hello. Thank you. Hello. Hi. And thoughts on Claude Mythos? None. I don't use Claude. I know of it. I know roughly what you're talking about. I think that, didn't they say, what is it that I heard about Claude Mythos? That it is smarter than they thought it would be. It can, what is it that it can do? It can, I'm not going to accurately get this. It can hack. It can write code that it didn't ask to write. It can hack. And I think they're not going to release it to the public, but they are giving it roughly to the FANG companies to find bugs in their code. Am I right about that? I have no thoughts. I don't know what to think about some of these things. I'm just rolling with the punches. So Clayton loves the channel. Thank you, Clayton. Appreciate that. So, okay. So we need to put this, whoops, where am I? Hello, here I am. We need to, I'm going to style this so it's fixed at the bottom of the page, but I am going to put the markup before the header because we want screen readers and we want people with keyboard navigation to see this immediately. So in the DOM, it needs to come first. We can style it any way we want. It doesn't matter. We just need to make sure that screen readers and keyboard focus are getting the focus immediately, and they are being given the choice to either accept or reject immediately. We also need to have a message in here with a link to a privacy policy. So let's start with just a div, and we'll give this a class of, we'll just call it the consent banner. And yeah, does it need to have like an H1? I don't want to give it like an H1 or something like that. We don't want to take away from the SEO value of the page. So let's say for now that there's just a message, and let's say that there would be like a link to a privacy policy. So we're going to make a privacy policy page. And again, we are taking the complete approach to this, which is more than just JavaScript. JavaScript is just one part of it. And then we would have 2 buttons. So we'll do, well, really they're not buttons, they're links. No, they are buttons because they don't link anywhere. So it's going to be a button, type button. We don't need an ARIA label. So we're going to say accept all button type equals button reject all. Yeah. Okay, let's give these each a class. So we're just going to call this, we'll just give it button accept button reject button. And here's the thing. If the page loads and there is no action, the banner is persistent. It stays on every single page. And there is no cookie to remember the choice. So if this was connected or hooked into an analytics tool, no choice is being recorded, which means essentially that no data is being collected. I feel like doing nothing means that no action is taken. We are not recording any. I mean, that's a good question. That would be something good to clarify with ChatGPT. That's my understanding. Clicking the button sets the cookie and it puts it on a timer for 7 days. That's the other thing I want to add. We are going to ask again in 7 days. Unless somebody clears their cookies, then they would be asked again, right? But we're going to ask this question every 7 days, which gives the user the opportunity to change their answer, right? So it's not permanent. Well, no, cookies aren't permanent, but every 7 days, maybe they change their mind. They're like, okay, yeah, I accept. And they're like, no, I thought about it, reject. So, okay, we're going to confirm that with ChatGPT. That's how I understand that. I think this is all we need. So let's style this quickly. And Osloy has a good question that Nano Akia answered. Applies to local storage too. It does not. Yeah, local storage can't be accessed outside the user's own browser, so it does not read GDPR-like cookies. Yeah, so that's going to be the difference between the local storage shenanigans that we've worked on the last few days compared to what we're going to do today, that cookie. It's a really good question. Okay. Let's put in cookie, consent, banner. All right, this will be fixed. Position, fixed, whoops. And this will be bottom 0, left 0, width 100%, and we'll give it a, I don't know, a z-index of like 3, we'll see. There it is, so we can see it there. Beautiful, perfect. My job is done. No. Here's our consent banner. So let's give this, I don't want to do the whole changing colors thing on every page because I don't have that in me today. And I still have a lot of CSS that I need to write for the theme toggle, the light dark theme toggle to sort of close the loop on that project that I haven't gotten to yet. So the background color is going to be, let's just go with black. Let's just go with black. So that would be 0, 0, 0, and maybe, I don't know, 85%. And then we'll give this a little padding. Maybe 2 rems of padding. I have a max width on this. Yeah, I put a max width on the paragraph tags, but I would like to center this on the page. I want to keep that max width for readability. So let's just put in like a wrap so we can at least center it. Can we just give it our class wrap? Will that do it for us? No. Oh. Let's do this. Consent banner, wrap. Max width. Can I do fit content? Yes, I can. And then we'll do margin, 0, auto. Perfect. So let's zoom out a little bit here so we can see. So here's 100%. Here is what it would be on the page. Yep, I think that looks just fine. And then it gets taller or shorter based. This does not need to be fancy. I'm not going to put a button here to close this or dismiss it because that defeats the purpose. You either need to accept or reject. That's the point. And it's one color and we don't have to worry about it. And let's see what it looks like on mobile. Very simple. Maybe we can cut down on some of the padding a little bit. We'll cut down on some of the padding. How about if we clamp the padding? How about that? So simple. So maybe on mobile we want 1 rem. We'll do 3 VW and then 2 rem on desktop. There we go. Lovely. Okay, let's actually make a page now. Well, that was easy. So there's our CSS. Boom, done. Now let's make a privacy page and let's ask ChatGPT for some content for our banner and some basic content for our privacy page. So we'll make a folder. We'll see privacy. Privacy policy. Just like that. And then I want to reuse a page template. So I'm just going to reuse, you know what, we can just reuse the page that we're on. We'll reuse the page that we're on. So I'm just going to say, we'll have to make some changes to our meta information. We can handle that. So right here, it's still index.html, but now we're inside of our privacy policy folder. So we're going to update this. No, not all of that. And I'm not going to add it to the navigation, but I am going to add it to the footer. Privacy policy. Privacy policy. I'm going to come back and fill those in. Let's update this. This is our URL. These are all correct. Our relative paths are all correct. Let's take this active class off because this will not be part of the navigation, but I will add it to the footer. So where do we want to put this? Well, first of all, we're going to need to do a find and replace for the footer. So let's start that. So where do we want to put this? Let's close this. So let's put it right here. Put in another dot and we'll say this will be a link to the privacy policy, and we'll just say privacy policy, just like that. You know what? I'm going to update the footer later. Because we have some links are going to be relative links and some links, the paths are going to be different. Yeah, I'm going to update the footer later offline, so I'm not going to worry about that now. But I will include it in the footer. I don't want it in the navigation. So what would that look like? Let's see. Well, we can't really see it, can we? There it is. So this is what it'll look like in the footer. I'll get it included there. So, okay. So let's actually go back. I want to go back to this page now. Okay. I'll deal with that later. Well, no. I need text. We need text. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT for help. Can you give me a short paragraph of text for a cookie consent banner that includes a link to a privacy policy. I can't spell today. Privacy policy, and has two buttons: reject or accept. Okay, so we use cookies to improve your experience, analyze site usage, and support essential functionality. You can choose to accept or reject non-essential cookies. For more details, please review our privacy policy. Perfect. I love it. There it is. We use cookies to improve your experience, analyze site usage, and support essential functionality. You can choose to accept or reject non-essential cookies. For more details, please review our privacy policy. Okay, now let's ask for text for the page. Perfect. This is an excellent use of ChatGPT. Perfect. Can you give me simple language for the privacy policy page 2? Please make this copy paste, make the headings what, an H2 with a class of secondary heading, and put the content in paragraph tags. Oh, this will probably be an H1, but that's okay. Okay. So we're still on the privacy policy page. Might as well stay on this page, I guess. Okay, so here's the header. Here's the section. We don't need this. I'm going to put this in the heading. And then take this out. This is from our script tag. Did we... That's from yesterday. Okay, we'll figure out, we have an error from our JavaScript from yesterday. We'll figure that out. This should fail though. This should just fail if it's... Oh, because I don't have page title. That's why. Got it. So the H1 has a class of page title. Okay. Fair. There we go. Okay. So here's our privacy policy. We respect your privacy and keep things simple. What we collect, how we use it, cookies, third-party services, your choices, contact. Um, I guess I could just link this to the form validation states page, right? Because that technically is a working form. And I have had a couple of people test the form and ask me questions, which I think is so adorable. So let's do it. We'll just link through the, we'll go ahead and link to that page. Why not? It was day 9. Nice. So it does double duty. It's a UI element and it's something that people can actually contact me on. So, okay. So far, I love it. Let's get back to our privacy policy. Okay. Here it is. Okay, so our page is done. We have our content. We have our banner up and styled. It's going a lot faster than I thought it would. Okay, so I'm actually going to go back to, oh, we have to make sure that we have the correct text on the other. Well, actually, no, I'm going to take it off of the privacy policy page and copy and paste this whole thing and put it back on page, the other page. Are you with me so far? Here's our privacy policy page. Note to self, actually have a QA going on here. So update footer links for privacy policy. Okay. So I'm going to copy this, but I'm going to comment it out. I don't think we need our styles anymore. We can go ahead and write our JavaScript. So let's actually create those elements first and get them on the page. So this will be function, init, cookie, consent, and I think first we need to, so here's what I did yesterday. Well, here's what I ended up doing yesterday. Because I still wanted to scope to the thing that I was creating, which we can still totally do. But I also decided it would be a good idea to check to make sure the about existed. So this was my guard statement. If about or root do not exist, then stop. And I think we should do something similar because we are going to insert this before header class header, right? So I think that makes sense. So let's start with the header equals document query selector. We'll do the class header and then const banner equals document create element. This is going to be create element div. And we can scope directly to the thing, right? And then if our header is not here or our div is not here, then we would return. Yeah. And then let's make sure so here's our structure that we need to follow and our content so we know what we're actually building here. So our div needs a class of consent. So we need 2 divs. We need the banner and the wrap. What else do we need? We need paragraph tags, and we need our buttons. Let's just create everything first. That feels more logical to me. So we have the banner, we have the wrap. Create element. We're going to create another div. And then we need to create our paragraph tags. I think this is the right way to do it. We only have one set of paragraph tags. And then we need to make a link. So an anchor element. And then we need a button. So we'll do accept first. That's a button. And then we need reject. That is also a button. All right, so we have both divs. We have our paragraph, we have our anchor element, our link, and then we have both buttons. Now we'll start adding classes and attributes. So first our banner, class list add banner, right? Wait, consent banner. And then our wrap, class list add, wrap. And then our paragraph tags, paragraphs, text content equals I have to think about this now. Because we have HTML inside of our paragraph tags. And am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to like get the window location for this link? I don't know. Is there something else I'm supposed to do here? I have to think about this for a second. Am I overthinking it? By thinking I'm supposed to like get the window location, like because we also need to make sure that this is, it can't be relative because it could be like on the 404 page, it could be on the home page, and those are root level pages. Everything else is inside of a folder. So there's the whole issue of like relative. So this, I feel like this needs to be an absolute link. So we probably need to get the URL, right? So I would probably want to do something like don't tell me. Let me think about this for a second. This didn't even cross my mind that this was going to come up. So I'm like, oh, what do I do? Okay. I have to think about this for a second. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. We know that we're creating an anchor element. So we're really setting the attribute of the href. So let's at least do that. We're setting, which is really just a href, right? Equals, could we just do window Window location. Hang on. I feel like this is coming to me. Window location. What do I want? I think that I just want the origin. I think I want the window location origin. Window location origin. The window location origin / privacy policy. Right? I think so. And then the text content would equal privacy policy. Privacy. Whoop. Privacy policy. And then I feel like the text content. Oh, I feel like the text content, could the text content just be, hang on. Can the text content be, well, we'll do this. And then I can just put in wait, would that work? What happens if I console log? Can I just console log the paragraph? That's what I want to see. Is there anything to console log yet? No. We're not doing anything yet. Oh, link. It's link, not anchor. Oh, and we have to go back to the correct page. Still not console logging yet. Oh, probably because didn't initialize this. Oops. Div is not defined. Oh, which one? Oh, I put in the wrong thing. Got it. Anchor is not defined. Yeah. Link. It's link. So we have to put in the entire element, not just, so it's the, so we have the, so we have the link href and the link text content. I feel like I kind of need to do this. Let link, and then the link equals, wow. I'm just like, why don't I know how to do this? The link equals Is it just do I have to, wait a second, link? Is it just a string? Why don't, why am I, hang on. How did we do this with the link document create element, link href, like that's the link. That's the link. I would expect if I used link, it would just appear as a link. I would expect link, and it would just have all them. It would be okay. Let's just keep going and see how things shake out. This feels like it should be right to me. We should see the anchor element, the markup, with the href. So what happens if I just console log link? Oh, we're not, okay, let's just keep going. Maybe I have to console log. I have to actually put it someplace. So like maybe we put it in the banner, append, the paragraph, undefined. Okay, I'm just gonna, Angela, just keep moving forward. Okay, what else do we need to do here? Then we also need our buttons. I think this is right, and I think once everything gets appended and added to the page, it will be fine. So I'm gonna forge ahead. Okay, buttons. So accept. We need to set the attribute that I'm just so glad that I'm doing this because it's harder than it looks. Type button and accept set attribute. Well, actually, it's class list add, class list add button and accept button. We can do this. All right, so there's our accept and our reject. We set our attributes. We also need to add the text content. So this is accept all. reject all. Okay, let's actually get this thing on the page now. So I'm going to start with the banner, append the wrap, banner, append the wrap, and then the wrap, I'm going to append the paragraph, accept and reject. So the paragraph, accept, reject, and then the header, insert adjacent, insert adjacent. I want before begin, same as yesterday, and it's the banner. What do we think? Okay, that link is not working quite right. So we literally just inserted the link. We literally just inserted the link. It doesn't have any... Why I feel like this worked yesterday. Why didn't it work today? So we defined the href and the inner HTML, although we did append the link, but I don't want to append the link to the paragraph. I want to insert it in the middle of the paragraph. Why can't I do that? Why doesn't that work? Do I have to... So do I actually have to do this? That doesn't seem right to me. Oh, we don't need these. I'm questioning. Yeah, that doesn't work. Why can't I just... Do I have to append the link? I don't want to. Because I need it to be in the middle of my message. Oh, Nano Kia to the rescue. Links are only parsed when using inner HTML, not text content. Okay, so I feel like inner HTML is... People don't like it when I use inner HTML, and I get it that there are some security things that come with that. I'm not 100% clear what all of those things are, so I feel like this is what I have to do though, right? As if refreshing the page would solve that problem. So I feel like I have to make this inner HTML, right? That's probably what I have to do. Okay, for the love of the traveling Mary. Oh, and it's on every page. Hallelujah. Okay. What else do we need here? I think we don't need to open it in a new tab, so I'm not going to add an extra attribute for target blank. All right. So here's the other thing that I notice about adding things to the DOM with append. So we're adding our buttons. In normal HTML, the button, well, even this way, the buttons are display inline block. So it's the best of both worlds. It's display inline, so they line up like text. But you can also add things like padding and margin, things that you would not normally be able to add to something inline, you can add because it's display inline block, has the block level properties. If we were to just put these buttons in the markup, they would naturally have a space in between them, just like words naturally have a space in between them. But when they get added with append, that disappears. I don't know why. That doesn't make sense to me because these are display inline block. So it's just interesting to me to see, I'll find it here. It's in the user agent style sheet because I didn't change it. Display inline block. Display inline block naturally has a space in between it, but if you add it with append, that space goes away. So I think that's interesting. It's fine. We can totally style those buttons. It doesn't matter, but it's an interesting observation. And I think this is why it's good that I come from a place where I'm so focused on the UI, so focused on vanilla CSS. I understand those properties very, very well. Just an interesting observation. So maybe someday I'll look into that. Okay. We have our banner on the screen. We're doing great. We're killing it. Okay, so what's the next thing that we need to do now? Let me pull up my stuff. Let me pull up my code and decide what I'm going to do next. Really, what we're going to do next is we're going to create click events for those buttons, and we're going to set our cookie. Let's see here. So how do we create a cookie first? Maybe we'll just peek at our documentation. Document cookie property. A string containing a semicolon separated list of all cookies, key value pairs. Note that each key and value may be surrounded by white space. Mandates a single space. Okay, you can also assign to this property a string in the form of key equals value. So we're going to do domain name example.com or subdomain.example.com. I'm also going to put in, let me make sure I can find it here. We have to be able to read the cookie. So we have to create the cookie first with a function. And then we also need a function to read the cookie. So let's start with creating the cookie and go from there. Okay. So maybe that could be a separate function. Yeah, I feel like that could be a separate function. Let's change the name of this. Let's just change it to consent banner. Okay, banner's created. Now let's do this. We'll do function init create cookie. And we want a couple of things. We want the name of the cookie. We want the value of the cookie. So that would be accept or deny. And we want hours. That's going to be our timer of when we're going to ask again. So we're going to say let expires equal empty string. And then we're going to say if hours, if hours, so if the time has elapsed, if hours, we need the date. And we're going to do date, set time, date, get time, and we're going to add the number of hours times 60 times 60. So 60 seconds, 60 minutes times 1,000. And then we're going to say expires equals, there's a semicolon and a space, and this is basically a key value pair now. Expires date to UTC string. I think I got this right. Okay. And then it's document cookie equals, so now it's all of the attributes. And I think I'm going to pop this into ChatGPT and just have it explain it in plain language, because I am definitely reusing something that I did 2 years ago. So the name equals value expires, semicolon, space, and then our domain is the domain of our current site. And actually, do we even need to set the domain? I set the domain because we had root level domains and subdomains, so I think I'm not even going to set the domain attribute for this. I don't think I need it. Path equals the root, and Do I want the secure tag? Because I can't test it. It's not secure on local. So I'm going to leave secure out, and um, maybe we'll put that in. We can do an if statement for that. Okay. Let's have our friend explain this in plain English for us. Can you please explain what's happening in this function? Okay, good. Great. Tell me what the bug is. You've got the right idea here, but there's one important bug hiding in it. I'll walk through what it's doing and point that out. What the function is for. This function creates a cookie with a name, a value, and an optional expiration time in hours. So you pass in name, value, hours. So the cookie name, the cookie value, the hours, how long the cookie should last. Let expires start with an empty expiration string. If no hours is provided, the cookie becomes a session cookie, so it expires when the cookie closes. If in hours, only run this block if you passed a value for hours, const date, get a new date object, the current time, date, set time. This is the bug. Get date returns a day of the month, not a timestamp. Set time expects milliseconds since 1970. So you're mixing two completely different units here. This will create a totally incorrect expiration date. Interesting. Did I type that correctly? Date, set time, date, get time. I did. So that means my old code from 2 years ago is wrong. Okay, so you're mixing two completely different units here. This will create a totally incorrect expiration date. I did not have ChatGPT. So maybe it was longer than 2 years ago that I did this, because I didn't have ChatGPT when I did all this the first time. The correct version. Date, set time. Date, get time. What is up here? I typed it wrong. That's why. It's not get date. It's get time. So my code is correct. I just typed it wrong. Got it. Okay, get time. Now you're getting the current time in milliseconds, adding hours converted to milliseconds. Expires. Formats the expiration date correctly for cookies. Example, expires Tuesday, April 14th, 2026 at 1800, 6 p.m. GMT. Got it. Document.cookie equals. This actually sets the cookie. The name equals the value, which is required. Expired, the optional expiration, the path, the cookie is available across the whole site. What this function gives you. After fixing the bug, you get a reusable way to set cookies, supports the session cookies with no hours, supports persistent cookies with hours. So it caught a bug that I typed in. If you want to take it one small step further later, you could also add same site LAX secure for HTTPS, but your current structure is already solid. Okay. I left out secure because I'm working locally. Yeah, so we're not going to be able to do this on HTTPS. So let's do this. We can check. We can check for localhost, or we can check for 127. Yeah. Let's do this. Then we don't have to change it just because we deploy. One small note worth knowing. Modern browsers are pretty opinionated now. If you ever use same site none, you must also use secure. Same site LAX is generally a safe default and works fine locally. Bottom line, okay. So let's add this right here. I'm just going to copy and paste it. We'll add this. All right. So here is our reusable cookie function. Now we need a way to read the cookie. So let's just have ChatGPT look at my function for reading a cookie, have it explain it, and check it for bugs. Because why not? Can you please explain this function? Because you're not going to be able to check the cookie when the user makes the selection, leaves the site, and comes back if you can't read it. This is a compact little cookie reader. So my colleague Edwin at the time, he's the one who wrote this. So he was an awesome developer that I worked with. I miss him. This is a compact little cookie reader. It looks dense because of the regex, but it's doing something pretty straightforward. What it does high level. Looks for a cookie by name. If found, it returns the value. If not, it returns false. So function read cookie A. A is the name of the cookie you're trying to read. Const B, cookie, document cookie match with this big regex function. This is the core of it. First, what document.cookie looks like. Name Angela theme dark session 123. It's just one long string. The regex breakdown translated. Let's simplify what it's trying to do. The first part, match the start of the string or something that isn't a semicolon, basically trying to find the start of the cookie. This ignores white space. A, your cookie name, dynamic, equal sign with the optional spaces, right here, spaces, okay. And then this last part, capture everything until the next semicolon. This is the cookie value. What match returns? Okay, document cookie match right there. If it finds a match, you get an array like theme dark, full match, group 1, not very useful here, group 2, this is what you want. If no match, null. Return B. Okay, if B exists, return B and pop. That pops it off the end, right? If not, return false. Why pop? Pop grabs the last item in the array, which is dark, which is what we want, group 2. So it's a key value pair, and we're getting the value, which is why we want it off the end. So it returns the cookie value. So in plain English, search the cookie string for a cookie named A. If found, return its value, otherwise return false. Honest take since you're experienced, okay? This works, but it's a bit clever for its own good, harder to read at a glance. Regex is doing more than necessary. Well, that pretty much sums up my former colleague Edwin, who I adored and was a bit clever for his own good. Cleaner alternative, same behavior. Function, read cookie name. Const, cookies. Document cookie split. For let cookie of cookies. Okay, same result, way easier to reason about on stream. What do we think? What do we think? Should we go ahead and let's do the cleaner alternative because I'm all in favor of this. And I am kind of breaking my rule about copying and pasting from ChatGPT, but I think it's appropriate. In my opinion, this is appropriate. Function, well, wait a second here. So this is function read cookie name. Let's do it. Okay. So we've created our banner. We have our buttons. We have a function to create a cookie. We have a function to read a cookie. Now we have to do our event listeners on the buttons to either set the cookie or read the cookie. So let me get to that part of my code. Okay. So I'm going to do another function called init create. There's the create cookie. Init get consent. Sure. Keep forgetting this is down here. All right. This is exciting. I'm having so much fun. Okay. So, so I think we need to actually initialize this inside of here, right? Create the banner inside here, which means that we wouldn't do it here. Yeah, because I need to be able to get access to those buttons. So is that going to work? Am I going to have access to those buttons if I initialize this function inside this function, do I now get access to those buttons? I think so. One way to find out. No. So I think I have to do my event listeners. Yeah, I have to do my event listeners inside this function in order to get access to those buttons. Okay, no problem. Let's just go backwards. All right, we'll just do it right here. Should I move these up? Does that make sense? We'll put those right there. Okay, so now we're going to do an event listener, add event listener, click. And we're going to create the cookie. Oh, what's the name? We're going to create the cookie. And the name of the cookie, what are we going to name our cookie? It would have the same for both. So I'm just going to call it analytics tracking. Analytics tracking. That's going to be the name of our cookie. Oh, and it needs to be in quotes. I spelled it wrong. Analytics tracking. And then The value is going to be accept. Again, Angela, it's a string. And the time is going to be 720, which I think is 7 days, right? Is it 7 days or 30 days? I'm pretty sure that's 7 days. Let's ask. Is 720 hours 7 days? Or 30 days? I can't remember. No. 7 days is 168 hours. So this value is going to be 168. Okay, and then what else happens when we accept the banner? So what I did is I put in an inline display none. I think we could also set an attribute to hidden because I feel like that is a little hidden gem, pun intended. We could also just add a class to hide it. I'm just going to banner hidden. That's what I'm going to do. Banner set attribute hidden. So if we click accept, okay, so that did its job. Now let's go over to our applications tab. We'll check cookies, and there it is. The value is accept. The name of the cookie is analytics tracking. The value is accept. So now let's go ahead. So let's delete that. Hang on, how do you clear cookies? There we go. So we'll clear that cookie. Now let's do our reject. Add event listener. And again, it's going to be a click event. And we're creating the cookie. It's the same name, analytics tracking. It would be whatever name you agree on with your analytics person. Whoops. The value is going to be reject, and it's going to be 168 hours. And then again, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to hide the banner once it's rejected. And then we will ask again in 7 days. So I'm going to, oh, you can't see because my giant head. Hang on, sorry. So I'm going to reject. Now we have it. We're not reading it yet. Analytics tracking, reject. There it is. So I'm going to delete that. Now we need to read the cookie. We have to come back on page load and remember that choice, right? So I feel like we can just do this in the same function, can't we? I think so. Oh, it's up here. So here's our read cookie. Let me see here. Where did I do this? Yeah. So if, I'll just do if read cookie analytics tracking, and what else? I had another statement in there to check for something, but I don't think I'm going to this time. I'm just going to look for the cookie. So if it exists, we don't want to show the banner, right? We want to make sure that the banner continues to remain hidden. Because if the cookie doesn't exist, we're going to show the banner. But if the cookie exists, we just set it to hidden. That's all we're really doing, is we're just checking to see if it's there. So I'm refreshing. Let's say I reject. Now if I refresh again or go to a different page, we should not see it. Let's check our markup and check the cookie, right? So here's our consent banner, hidden, yay. Let's go to application. It's rejected. We'll clear that, and then if we refresh, we see it. So now I'll accept it. And then once I refresh, it's logged. So here's our accept, and we can go to any page, and it's always there, and we're always getting it. I'll clear the cookie, refresh the page. Now we see it again. You guys, we did it. What do we think? It's not that complicated. Let's style it. We need a little space in between these buttons. So Nano Kia is noticing that I'm not talking to Chad as often, but that he appreciates seeing me in focus mode. Sometimes we just have to make the difficult decisions, my friend. I'll go back. This is temporary. This is temporary, just because I'm trying to get the last few JavaScript tasks have been stressful. They have been stressful for me, and we're not even halfway through yet. So I'm just trying to make this as focus friendly as possible for me. That's really what I'm trying to do. So it's not forever, I promise. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. Nano Kia also says, if they reject, I think that means you can't store any cookies at all with the GDPR. No, I think that that's incorrect. That's not how I understand it. You have to store a cookie saying that you know that you have to store the fact that you acknowledge they are not, that you have to store the value that they're rejecting. You do, because you have to pass that value back up to Google Analytics or whatever analytics you're using. And what gets stored happens in the analytics tool, not on the site. So you do have to create a cookie saying that they rejected. You do have to do that. And you have to remember that choice when they come back and not collect data about them. So I think that that's incorrect. We had many conversations about this with our legal compliance team and what it really meant, what data we're actually getting, what actually gets stored, and what it means to actually be in compliance. And I do remember having this conversation that in order to log the fact that they are, you have to log something in order to acknowledge that they rejected, is my point. But that's a great question. And if you can find information that contradicts that, I'm happy to explore that. Should we ask ChatGPT? Let's continue this conversation. I think this is a good one. Okay. Everything is working perfectly. Question. We still need to store a cookie saying the user rejected, correct? So something does still get collected. What's collected happens in the analytics tool. Analytics tool. Is that correct? Yes, you're thinking about this the right way. Yes, you still store something on reject. When a user clicks reject, you should still set a cookie like cookie consent rejected. That cookie is essential. It is not used for tracking. It just remembers their preference so you don't keep showing the banner. This is allowed without consent because it's strictly necessary for UX. What actually gets collected? The consent cookie itself stores a simple value like accepted, rejected, stays on the user's device, is not analytics data. Analytics only runs after acceptance. So this is where we are not showing the analytics part of this because that's not my expertise. I avoid it. I don't care about it. It's not what I do. So you've got it exactly right. If the user clicks accept, you load analytics, Google Analytics, plausible, etc. And that's what I did 2 years ago. If they click accept, then we loaded and ran the GTM container. GTM is what is actually pushing up the user's data, right? So accept, yes. Analytics runs. Reject, yes, no. And maybe we'll put some notes in the code here saying that, explicitly saying that. Where the real data collections happens, all actual data collection happens inside your analytics tools. Page views, session durations, refers, etc. Your site itself isn't really collecting anything beyond form submissions if you have them, or the consent cookie. The key idea, this is the important distinction. Consent cookie, remember user choice. Analytics cookies track user behavior. Those are treated very differently. Simple mental model, reject, don't track me, accept, tracking is allowed. But in both cases, I will remember what I choose. You're implementing this exactly how it should be done. Okay, blah, blah, blah. My question to ChatGPT, can you store cookie if someone denies the GDPR request? So yeah. Short answer, generally no for non-essential cookies. If a user refuses consent, you should not store cookies that require consent under GDPR. You still have to store the cookie. Short answer, generally no for non-essential cookies. And I'm only talking about the cookie that I created for pure UX purposes. So there could be, you could be also talking about a larger issue where there are multiple cookies being created for multiple different reasons, right? And tracking. So I'm doing it just purely for showing the banner. And then if it's accepted, then we load the analytics tracking data, right? Then you would load your GTM container or your Google Analytics script upon accept. So let's actually put that in. Let's actually put that in here. So let's make a note. Load your analytics tracking tool. Load your analytics tracking tool script here. Do not load your analytics tracking tool when rejected. Read the cookie and really check the time, right? That's what reading the cookie also does. Well, the cookie it'd be expired, so it's even there, so we're not really checking the time. Read the cookie, check to see if the cookie exists. That's a better one. Check to see if there's a cookie set. Yeah, I love it. This is something I'd been meaning to do for a really long time. So I love it. I love it. This was a good one. This was a really good one. Okay, let's add this to our pages, shall we? Let's see here. And we also have to ask ChatGPT to, let's take this out, format our stuff. I love it. So we'll do code, language, markup. Please format this HTML. So we actually don't need this. I love it. So I have a cookie consent banner and I do no tracking on my site. So maybe someday I'll track. I don't know. It just gives me a headache to even think about it. I can't. I can't care about everything. I just can't. All right. We don't need this anymore. Please format this JavaScript. We'll let this go. All right, so here's our HTML, here's our JavaScript. I love it. It's so cool. I'm into it. Okay, so I want to show it again because I want to just make sure that we're good on styles, and then we will go ahead and push this up. I think we're done here. Grab our style sheet. So we just need to make sure that consent banner button Why? I don't understand. Why does the browser do this when these are? I guess I'm just gonna add some. I'm just gonna add some margin after the accept button. Whoops. But I don't know why I have to. Left, right. All right. Well, I have to create pages this afternoon anyways, so I can do the last few little things that we need to do. I love it. All right, let's go ahead and commit this and see how she looks. Commit and deploy. Actually, let's deploy first. Because if I leave everything highlighted, then I know what to drag and drop in FileZilla, right? All right. So we need day 12, we need our privacy policy, and we need our scripts and CSS. So here's day 12. Here's our privacy policy. This is our little QA document, a script, and our CSS. That should work. Okay. Turn off live server. There it is. Look at that. There's our site. There's our banner. And here's our privacy policy. Accept. Yep, and we see it on every page. Nice. So we can delete the cookie, refresh. Now we have it again. There it is. Let's see what some of these values are. Can we see these a little better? Where is my cursor? Oh, stop. Why does this happen? Why does Chrome sometimes do this? It won't change the cursor. Nope, still won't change the cursor. I don't know. There we go. Hey, application, cookies. Okay, so there's the domain. So these are the attributes that we set. There's the path, which is every site. expires April 19th, 1755. Size 23. Not sure what that means. HTTP only. Secure, yes. Same site. I don't know what that means. Same site LAX. Cross site. Priority medium. So you could probably get a lot of information on what these attributes are just by looking at the documentation, which I am not going to do because I am satisfied with our work today. I'm very happy about this. I'm really, really glad I decided to include this in the 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. This is just a thing that I decided to do because I've been a front-end developer for about 13 years. I am very UI UX focused, and my JavaScript skills just aren't that strong, and I want them to be stronger, and they're only going to be stronger if I'm practicing. So I decided that I was going to go live every day in April. We built this fun little 30 days of vanilla javascript.com website, and I asked ChatGPT to give me 30 projects that would start easy and get progressively harder. And then I went in and decided to edit some of those projects and include things that I had done in the past that I wanted to practice again. And this is exactly that. The GDPR cookie consent banner is one of those things. And I'm so glad because it's a lot different from how I did it 2 years ago. It's a lot less complicated. We removed several layers of complexity, and I couldn't be happier with how this turned out. So let's get back over to our page. Couldn't be happier with how this turned out. I think it's really cool. So you will see this banner every 7 days if you come to this site. So there's that. So what's my latest selection? Is it accept or reject? I don't even remember. It's reject. Well, I'm going to accept on my own site. There. So we'll see that message again in 7 days. So, and if I ever actually get around to tracking data on this site, which I probably should, I will eventually pass those values up. Although I did have an analyst tell me that Google was mostly enforcing, so it's a requirement if your sites are seen in the EU, of course, but that Google is mostly enforcing this requirement, these banners, if you were tracking, if you have analytics tracking on pages that are part of Google Ads. That's what the analyst that I worked with told me, because certainly I have no banners, no cookie preferences on any of my websites until now, but I also don't do a lot of tracking and I don't do Google Ads. So certainly people overseas see my sites and I don't ask this question because I don't do any tracking. So there's that. Do me a favor, if you're new here, would you be so kind? Or if you haven't yet, would you like the video? Subscribe if you're not already. I'm generally here Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Again, here every day for the month of April. Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. Yeah. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Nanokia says, my follow-up, what about if the cookie is to store that request? Oh, she said yes. Okay. I don't read a lot of legal stuff, just watch the live US courts. I am such a fan of LawTube. I would love to know what channels you're watching. Are you watching Court TV? Are you watching Law and Crime? Are you watching Emily Baker? Are you watching Melanie Little? Who are you watching? I would love to know. Because when Made.js, because when made in JS, they are done like this. Okay. Button 1, button 2. But I thought white space didn't matter. If I put buttons next to each other in VS Code, if it's display inline block, Maybe we'll have to experiment with that a little bit. Oh, you do watch Emily D. Baker. I like Emily D. Baker. Check out Melanie Little. I'm just saying, check out Melanie Little. Attorney Melanie Little. She's a smaller channel, but she's my favorite. Andrea Burkhart, too. Andrea Burkhart is an appellate defense attorney in Washington State. Very smart. Really sharp lady. So, okay, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. I appreciate it. Come back tomorrow for day 13 when we do something called copy to clipboard. I haven't built that page yet, so I don't know what the requirements are. And yeah, we'll keep going. Tomorrow is day 13. We're almost at the halfway point, and I'm loving every minute of it. So have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.